Hello, welcome back. Today we'll be starting with a new philosopher, Bertrand, who is a Cambridge philosopher and is one of the most important philosophers of 20th century. And he is one of the pioneers of analytic philosophy. And I hope that you have gone through his life history and his major ideas. In today's lecture, we will be focusing on one of his most important articles, that is on denoting. And this on denoting is an essay on the theory of descriptions published in the year 1905. And this essay has been considered as a paradigm of analytic philosophy. The concepts expressed in this essay was left unchallenged till 1955 by Strawson. So we can say that the approach that's made in this essay on denoting is a model for doing analytic philosophy, and that's why it is called a paradigm of analytic philosophy. The theory is a method of analyzing definite descriptions and also called singular descriptions. This article deals with carrying out the analysis of definite descriptions, or which is again called singular descriptions. And this definite description or singular descriptions are phrases typically beginning with the word the, which denotes a single definite object. So whenever we start a phrase with the, it shows one and only one object, a definite object. And such descriptions are called definite descriptions. For example, the first president of India. There is a specific individual who is referred by the phrase the first president of India. Such descriptions are known as definite descriptions. Now, in order to identify definite descriptions, we need to contrast it with indefinite descriptions. And we have already mentioned that definite descriptions starts with the word the, whereas indefinite descriptions starts with words like any, some, all, or no. And they do not refer to a specific object, any. Any means anything. And some means some, not specific again. All means it's about the whole class of objects. So that also doesn't refer to a particular entity. And no also refers universally. So that also doesn't refer to a particular entity. So we can contrast the definite description, which is prefixed with the indefinite description, which is prefixed by any, some, all, or no. Now we can see that many philosophers, including Russell, treated some or all the proper names as definite descriptions. Means the proper name, which actually refers to a particular individual, can be seen as not mere tags attached to that individual, but can be seen as descriptions. For example, if you take Aristotle, what does Aristotle means? The Aristotle we know, the philosopher. Is it Aristotle, the word Aristotle, referring directly to the person Aristotle? It's doubtful. It's not. What makes Aristotle in the way we understand Aristotle? Is the disciple of Plato? Or we can understand Aristotle as the teacher of Alexander the Great. So the word Aristotle gains its meaning through such descriptions as the disciple of Plato or the teacher of Aristotle the Great. So even though apparently the word Aristotle is a tag attached to a person called Aristotle, but that's not the case when we use the word Aristotle. The Aristotle has gained its meaning through some specific descriptions. So Russell says that such tags or proper names, even though they appear to be some tags, but they are in fact not proper names but disguised definite descriptions. They are definite descriptions disguised as proper names. So the way proper names gain its meaning is through description. So they are called disguised definite descriptions. Now we will get into the functioning of definite descriptions. How definite description functions or how it does its job. So we can consider definite description as denoting phrases. The first president of India, whatever is written, is denoting a particular individual. So through the description, it denotes a particular individual. As we have seen in the case of Frege, through the sense, it denotes the reference or object. So in the same way, in the case of definite description, through the description, it denotes the particular object, or it denotes a particular object. So we can consider definite description as denoting phrases. They are phrases used to denote or refer to a particular individual. So any descriptive phrase can be treated as denoting phrase. That's the essence. So any descriptive phrase can be treated as denoting phrase. They denote something. So how denoting phrase work? So our question, how definite descriptions function, can be changed to how denoting phrases refer. In Russell's essay on denoting, he says that when we consider denoting phrases, there are three ways in which they function. The first one is that the phrase may be denoting and yet not denote anything. It's apparently denoting, but actually it's not denoting anything. For example, from Russell's own essay, The Present King of France. The present king of France actually refers to a particular individual, but there is no such individual. There is no king. France is not under monarchy. So there is no king for France now. So the term, the present king of France, even though apparently it's referring to an individual, since there is no such individual, it is not actually referring. It's not denoting. So it's denoting, but yet not denoting. Then, secondly, a phrase may denote one definite object, specifically denoting a particular object, like the present president of India. There is a particular individual who is the president of India. So the phrase the present president of India now refers to a particular individual, definitely. So there is no doubt about that. And thirdly, a denoting phrase may denote ambiguously. It's denoting, but we are not aware to which object it's denoting. For example, a man. The phrase a man denotes one or the other man, but we do not know which man. So it's denoting, but ambiguously. These are the three ways in which denoting phrases can function. One is that it denotes, but it do not denote anything, as in the case of present king of France. Secondly, it's denoting a specific individual, like the present president of India. And thirdly, it denotes ambiguously, that is, a man. Now we can examine some problems in denoting. A denoting phrase or definite description function as if they are denoting or pointing towards a particular object. We have seen that. It may actually point or may not point, but it apparently points towards a particular object. This, according to Russell, introduces three problems regarding denoting phrases. There are three specific problems that Russell lists about these denoting phrases. The first is the indiscernibility of identicals. We will get into the details of the problem later. The first is the indiscernibility of identical. The second is the breach of excluded middle. And the third is the problem of negative existentials. So these problems, we'll just examine what is the essence of these problems. The first problem, that is the indiscernibility of identical. This is actually an idea put forward by Leibniz. According to Leibniz, two things which are actually identical cannot be differentiated. There is no means to differentiate the identicals. They are identical in all features. If two things are identical in all features, then there is no way to differentiate them. And when applied to logic or language, we can say that according to this, if two statements are identical, one may be substituted for the other in a compound statements without changing the truth value of the compound statement. So if there is a compound statement, we already studied what's a compound statement in logic. So in a compound statement means a conjunction, disjunction or implication, or maybe much more complex, a combination of these. Like rose is red and violets are blue is a conjunctive statement. So in such compound statement, if I replace one statement with another statement having the same truth value, then the truth value of the compound statement will not vary. So anything, if I replace one statement with another statement, whatever it is, with the same truth value, then the truth value of the compound statement will not vary. This is evident if you think about truth tables. In truth tables, we are not getting into the meaning of the statement. We are just seeing whether a particular statement is true or false. If it is true, what will happen? If it is false, what will happen? That's only what we are seeing in truth table. So whatever its meaning may be, if you replace it with another statement having the same truth value, then the truth value of the compound statement, the whole statement, is not going to alter. Now we'll consider two phrases or two words or phrases having the same meaning, and we'll try to replace it in a sentence and see what's going to happen. We'll take the name Scott, and Scott is the author of the book called Waverley. So this is the example which Russell himself took. That's why I'm taking that same example. So Scott is the person who authored the book called Waverley. So the meaning of Scott and the meaning of the author of Waverley is one and the same. They are identical. So in a sentence, if we replace Scott with the author of Waverley, then the truth value should not change. Now Russell put forward the problem. Accordingly, the two statements, George for wished to know whether Scott is the author of Waverley. George for wished to know whether Scott is the author of Waverley. And who is the author of Waverley? Scott. And another statement, George for wished to know whether Scott is Scott, must have the same sense. George for wished to know whether Scott is the author of Waverley. The author of Waverley is Scott actually. And George for wished to know whether Scott is Scott, must have the same sense. But anybody knows that Scott is Scott. There is no ambiguity about that. And there is no need to confirm that. As we have seen in the case of frigate, the morning star is identical with evening star. There is a loss of sense here between the statements George for wished to know whether Scott is the author of Waverley and George for wished to know whether Scott is Scott. So this is the problem of identicals. And the second problem, the law of excluded middle. And according to this law, a statement must either be true or false. You have studied it in the laws of thought. There are three laws of thought: law of identical, law of non-contradiction, and law of excluded middle. And according to law of excluded middle, a statement must either be true or false. There is no third value possible. Okay, there is no middle value possible. That's why it is called law of excluded middle. If law of excluded middle is true, then the denial of a false statement must be a true statement, and the denial of a true statement must be a false statement. Hence, the statement, either the present king of France is bald, that's the first statement, the present king of France is bald, or the present king of France is not bald, it's denial. Either of them must be true. So two statements, the present king of France is bald, and the second statement, it's denial, the present king of France is not bald. Either of them must be true by the law of excluded middle. And if we count all persons in the world and put all the bald people in one group and the people who are not bald in the other group, we must be able to find the present king of France in the group of bald or in the group of not bald. But we will not be able to find it. So this is the problem of excluded middle. Hence the statement is neither true nor false. The present king of France, if it is true, its denial must be false. If it's false, then its denial must be true. Means we must be able to see the present king of France in either the group of the bald people or in the group of the people who are not bald. So we cannot find the present king of France because there is no present king for France. Since we cannot find, the statement is neither true nor false. So a statement neither true nor false is contrary to logic and it's paradoxical one. And this is the law of excluded middle. Now coming to the third problem, the problem of negative existentials. The thing is that if we deny the existence of some object like unicorn is an imaginary object, and if I utter a word, unicorn does not exist. What I utter? Unicorns does not exist. So I am telling that the thing called unicorn, the thing which is unicorn, actually does not exist. So on one hand, I am asserting the existence of unicorn. Otherwise, how can I speak about unicorn if there is no such thing? And then I am telling that it does not exist. So at one hand, I am affirming the existence of unicorn, and on the other, I am denying its existence. So that makes the statement paradoxical, and that's the problem of negative existentials. Like ghost does not exist. And if I ask you what is ghost, the thing which is called ghost, and that does not exist. And when you say that the thing which is called ghost, that itself asserts the existence of ghost. So this is the problem of negative existentials. These are the three problems about the denoting phrases. That is the indiscernibility of identicals. If you replace one statement having the same sense, then the whole sense should not vary, but here it's varying. Then the law of excluded middle, in which the present king of France you cannot see in any of the group, so that breaks the law of excluded middle. And thirdly, the problem of negative existentials. When you deny some non-existent, on one hand you are asserting it, and on the other hand you are denying it. That's all for today's class. In the next class, we will be looking into the theory that Russell himself put forward, and also we will be looking into how this can address these three problems or these three puzzles that Russell himself put forward. Till then, bye. Thank you.